Good afternoon, everyone. As you see at the Oroville Dam, they're now going to try what they call the rock shot, where they're going to try to dump bags of aggregate crushed stones into that water that's moving at 100,000 cubic feet per second. You see the ferocity of the water. There's no way that's going to work. It reminds me very much of what they called the junk shot when they were trying to plug the BP oil spill, giving false hope to people. Now you got to realize if they've asked you to evacuate your home, you're not coming back for weeks or months, possibly never again. So if you're still in that zone and on the edge where you weren't evacuated, if it starts to overtop and break during this next storm, you will be asked to evacuate. I highly encourage you to get all of your valuables together, get everything that you don't want to lose, and get it into a pack at least so you can grab it and get ready to get out your door. Whether that be jewelry from your family heirlooms, your firearms for sure, any types of documents that you'll need, anything with leases, stock certificates, anything of value you're going to have to take with you. If you're allowed back in your homes for any period of time, once you grab that second set of whatever it is, you probably will never come back to your home again. I wish you all good luck. This video is about the start to finish and what they're trying, what they call the rock shot. Let's sum it up right now.
The hopes to get the Oroville Dam drained by 30 feet for this next set of storms is not coming to fruition. They've only lowered it 12 feet from the overtop point. Looking at Null School, the heaviest water concentrations are going to be coming in 2.5 to 3 days. Goes West here shows you the initial approach. Rain starting this afternoon, late in tomorrow morning. Water vapor here. Jumping over to Ryan Maui on Twitter. Amazing graphic by the day and how much water is going to come down. Entire state of California up to 3 inches, such as Los Angeles 2 to 4 inches, Northern Cal also. Now let's take a look exactly what's happening with the Oroville Dam, with the overspill and the emergency spillway, now retermed the auxiliary spillway. X marks the spot. What they're really worried about is the water flowing in causing such erosion that this spot is going to eat in and allow pressure to push through the back wall and start coming out from that point there, collapsing the entire wall. You can see the arrows where I put where the water flow is going to go when this next event happens. I'm going to term this one the rock shot. This is their last hope to avoid the collapse during this storm. What they're doing is they're taking boulders, crushed aggregate, and putting it in these sacks. You can see the approximate size. And then they're going to deliver them by helicopter in these areas that I've indicated with the orange markers. They have to shore up these areas to try to avoid flooding again. Now just take a gauge of this. You can see the concrete spillway that's damaged. Now notice the helicopter above. You can see that little tiny dot that looks like a period at the end of a sentence. That's one of the bags of rocks. At the same time, they're dumping rocks over the edge there, smoothing it out. But when we start to wide out, you can really see the tasks they're up against. Literally 12 to 18 hours before the next storms come. And I want to put this into perspective and let you draw your own conclusions if this will work or not. I've highlighted the 18-wheeled trucks, those little tiny white dots on the dam there. Below picture is the actual size of those trucks being used to move boulders to shore up the edges. Now you have to ask yourself, in 12 hours, can they fix all of this? Areas for the rock shot, I've indicated here. The overflow that they're trying to prevent is where the parking lot started with the actual emergency spillway that's collapsing as one of the main points they need to fix, as well as the erosion pattern there. When this erodes, it's dirt and debris rolling down. It creates a scouring pad, eroding even further. So this is after the first overtop of the emergency spillway, the damage that was done. Now the storm that's coming up, this dam's completely full again. It's going to roll for days and days and days. Again, the media is really misleading you on this. I like that the guys are trying to repair it. Thank you so much, guys, for risking your lives out there, because if this collapses while those workers up there, they're all going to be swept away. And I appreciate you trying to save people downstream by working overtime, and putting your asses on the line to try to save others. That is top notch. Truly, it is. But the media going out of their way to clip photos so it looks like that they can actually fix this problem quite easily. Top image is the clipped photo from LA Times. Bottom is when they wide out, and you can see the arrow tip is exactly where they're working. That's only 1/40th of the entire first one set of erosion gullies that were created. They're using helicopters to try to drop these bags of aggregate, and just the monster power of nature. They're actually going to try to drop bags in there in that flow at 100,000 cubic feet per second. And you think those bags are even going to make it to the bottom before they're washed downstream? This was at full flow here in the first initial overtopping of the emergency spillway. That's class 5 rapids right there. And the erosion continues at the bottom of the concrete spillway. This is a one-day difference. It looks like it's a bit more eroded on the February 14th side there. So amazing pilots going out too and bringing back images that we can use to try to take a look and forecast out where the danger zones are. But remember that BP oil spill? When they said, oh no, we have it under control. We're going to do the junk shot. We're going to just jam that thing full of golf balls and all kind of thing that's going to plug up the pipe, and no worries, it's finished. Well, we're kind of at that same juncture in time, still giving false hope. And when I originally did the story a few days ago, February 11th, 10th, you can see the progression of erosion. The progression from this point is even further over to the right into the very base foundation of the dam. You know, the drop off on the road that you can see at the top with the CHP helicopter view is about 40 feet. These little bags of aggregate are 6 feet tall. So how many bags do they need to put in to even stop that one area, and will it be washed away when the floodwaters come again? Now, one positive thing though, the workers there that put down that concrete to try to shore up the edge of the emergency spillway, that concrete actually stayed in place. Now, how much more of that can they lay before this next deluge comes? Now, the rock shot points are the two arrows I put at the top here. You see that waterfall that's coming between the parking lot and the very edge of the emergency spillway? That's about to collapse. So they're trying to really fill that in as we speak. And the X marks the spot literally where that'll actually be the punch through point when this dam collapses. If it does, that's where the water is going to exit first. That's a couple hundred feet down the hillway, because you got to consider that overspill itself's 100 feet tall. So when you bring it down again, we're looking at about 200 to 230 feet where that main erosion point is at. So a minimum 200-foot wave would come down the mountain. Few before and after shots here. Now, this is the first few hours that it started to overflow in the above image, and then after the water stopped, that was the erosion after that 24-hour period. And don't worry, everything's under control. California Department of Water Resources said so. Oroville Dam sound, as is the separate structure from the auxiliary spillway. I mean, emergency spillway or auxiliary spillway? You're confusing me now. Before and after photos here again. California Water Department, no danger to the dam or people. And then they had to evacuate 200,000 people with 30 minutes notice. The very least you could have done was at least tell the people there's a possibility that they might have to leave, so they could have prepared more, their personal belongings, their valuables, their documents. And here we come again, round 2. Before and after photo. Some time progression as the first 12 hours elapsed from the overtop. Top image was when the road held for a little while as a secondary catch basin until it collapsed. And the bottom image is full high water flow of the overtop there. So this time it's going to be even deeper, and it's going to last much longer. It could be up to 7 days that this thing flows once the rains start. Now at the base where the river meets that emergency spillway, more erosion down there, and this thing's at least 150 feet wide, this river here. Don't know how deep it is, but the CHP cams, again, these guys in the helicopters have some amazing camera equipment. It just shows you the intensity of water erosion and how quickly water can erode. This is compact earth, it's not concrete. So you can see different areas here where they're trying to dump rocks, dump trucks dumping boulders. It's just trying to be fixed all at the same time. Now they have about 12 hours left. You need to ask yourself, seriously, do you think they can fix this or not? This is the wide out view. That's a lot of area to cover. When you look at the total length of that thing, the spillway where you see the white water coming down is 1,700 feet long. The scales are really so vast here. I'll draw your attention down to where you can see that guardrail that curves around. You can definitely see the white line there. That's a guardrail. Okay, we understand guardrails are probably waist high, maybe about 3 feet tall. And I'll let you do your own measurements on that to see how deep areas around the flooding are, and use that gauge as that little white line where the guardrail is 3 feet. How much concrete can they put down? Another CHP view here. This was full flow. It's going to be as intense as this or even more in this next storm that this dam is only 12 feet below. So for sure that 3 inches to 6 inches of rain is going to fill this up and top it again. There shouldn't even be a question if it's going to happen or not. Raging waters, flash flooding. You know how much erosion and damage is done in a flash flood, more than on a regular steady flow in a stream. Now here's the whiteout, which I really like. That hydroelectric station that usually flows 12,000 cubic feet per second, it was backing up. They had to close that down. Now the spillway is where they're trying to push 100,000 cubic feet through. But that erosion just keeps going more and more and more, taking away the actual foundation abutment of that dam as the counter pressure to keep that thing in place. Over to the left, you can see where the emergency spillway is overflowing. Another CHP view here, right where the concrete spillway is meeting the river. This is back on February 12th. So you have to ask yourself, 2 days of this kind of heavy water, what's it looking like now? So as we wrap up here, this is the size of the bags of rocks they're dropping by helicopters. Minimum 3 inches of liquid rain coming through. They've only emptied off the dam 12 feet. Erosion continues to slide to the right toward the actual dam itself. The erosional gullies out of that first pour over are 40, 50 feet deep. Water levels are filling everywhere in California. That drought is over. Snowpack in the Sierra Nevadas is borderline record. So even if it doesn't flood right now, let's say it doesn't, when this snowpack melts in the spring, it definitely is going to. Thanks for watching. Hope you got something out of the video. If you're listening to this, I highly, highly, highly encourage you to get an emergency bag ready, because you saw last time they gave you 30 minutes to go, which is criminal because they knew this thing was going to overflow. They could have given you at least 12 to 15 hours of warning to get everything ready. They didn't. Please remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Adapt 2030. I'll keep more stories like this coming to you. And also I'm going to put up another edition of my mini Ice Age conversations tonight. And if you like what I'm doing, please support me on Patreon. And I do appreciate your valuable time. I know everybody's really busy right now, but thank you so much. I'm so grateful that you took the time to listen to what I have to say. And maybe we can all help each other by spreading the message to people who don't have access to all this information.